For more now on the situation on the ground, we're joined by Lieutenant Colonel Jonathan Conricus, spokesperson for the Israeli Defense Forces. Lieutenant Colonel, thank you so much for coming back on the show. Over the weekend, you said here on ABC News Live that Israel is working to, quote, prepare the battlefield. Obviously, we're aware that you can't go into operational details, but where do those preparations stand for a ground invasion of Gaza?
Hi, thank you for having me again. Before maneuvering or any significant combat activities, you have to take into consideration a number of variables, from the physical, like weather, rain, to the condition of your troops, to the situation of the enemy, and other diplomatical and political issues, and of course humanitarian issues as well. So it's a complex and dynamic environment. We're assessing everything, and we will choose the time that is best from our perspective in order to achieve our military goals.
Hamas is now claiming, as you're well aware, that they have at least 200 Israeli hostages, a mix between soldiers and civilians. How dire, with that situation, having them on the ground, how is that impacting the ability of the IDF to move forward with action on the ground in northern Gaza without risking their lives?
We find ourselves in an unprecedented situation, facing very, very serious dilemmas. We are committed to the return of all of the Israelis that are being held by this vicious terror organization. Most of our hostages are civilians, women, children, elderly, babies, and even an 80-year-old Holocaust survivor are being held, and we are committed to getting them back. The aim of our operation here, of the war, is to completely dismantle Hamas and all of its military capabilities. And we will see to it that both of these objectives are achieved.
Hamas also claims that 22 hostages were killed in Israeli airstrikes. Do you have any information at all that verifies that claim?
Hamas is an organization of cowards and liars. And when they say something, I always treat it as a lie, and only if it's confirmed true by something else, then maybe they actually said something true. To the point, if you remember, on the third day of the fighting, Hamas issued like a panic warning: if the Israelis don't stop bombing, then we will execute hostages and we will show it on video. So in my mind, I put those two statements together by Hamas, the one that came before, that they were threatening, and the one now claiming that they're dead. And the obvious outcome is that Hamas is responsible for everything that happens to those hostages, and they'll be held accountable for their actions.
As you know, many Palestinians in Gaza have faced limited resources and confusion over border crossings as they try to evacuate to the south. Do you think that they need to be given more time in order to evacuate areas that Israel plans to target?
You know, we've given more than 72 hours to evacuate a distance that is less than 7 miles. That's the longest walking distance from the northern part of Gaza, south of the Gaza River, 7 miles. I think you and I can both agree that if a person wanted to do it, unless, of course, he is in a difficult physical situation, 7 miles is very, very doable in 72 hours. And we have been very patient, very clear, very patient, very tolerant about the humanitarian situation, because we have said, and we stand by this, the civilians are not our enemies, Hamas is, and we don't have an issue with the civilians. We're just going to dismantle Hamas, and we will do it while minimizing civilian casualties. And to prove that these are not only talking points, we have given them more than 72 hours to evacuate. 600,000 or so have done so already, and I commend them. There are still many left, probably because Hamas has actively tried to stop and undermine these evacuation efforts. Again, a testament to the fact that they simply want to use the civilians as their human shields.
There are some, though, who argue that the civilians are afraid to leave, to even go outside of their homes because of the airstrikes. So if you're asking someone, hey, move to the south, but we're still bombing these areas, is that difficult to have both?
Well, 600,000 people did, and they arrived safely south into the southern perimeter safe zone. So that's proof that it is definitely possible, viable, can and should be done. And again, we call on Palestinians, and I call on all the international institutions that are relevant, that instead of sounding alarm bells and saying that it's not possible, which serves only to confuse and delay, help get it done so that people, civilians who are not combatants, can get out of a fighting area, so that anybody who is left is an active fighter, of course, if it's not in a hospital or a humanitarian situation, but then we'll have a better chance of operating in an area without killing civilians. We want to take out Hamas, not the civilians.
IDF spokesperson Jonathan Conricus, once again, we thank you so much for your time. Really appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.